The Fallen are traitor dark angels. They are a secret buried by the First Legion of the Lord of Humanity, the Emperor. Many of them have gone over to Chaos. One is even a demon prince. What spectrum of roles have they chosen for themselves after their lives as sons of the Emperor were swayed and destroyed by Luther? Which amongst them rescued Luther from his cell in the rock? And what spy system have the Lion Sons put into place to uncover their traitor brothers? Friends, let's find out, and welcome to another 40k video. So in very brief style, let's cover the basics. How the Fallen came to betray their Gene Father. It starts on Caliban. The Lion is away fighting during the Great Crusade, and Luther has been sent back to the Lion's adopted home to find recruits for his army. Luther felt dismissed, and the Dark Gods whisper in his ear, growing that dismissal into betrayal. After the heresy, the Lion returns. His fleet entered orbit around Caliban, and a laser barrage was the greeting he got that rose up from the surface. Luther himself, in the arms of chaos, has turned others to his side, and the Lion realized this, and he ordered a counter-bombardment and went to the surface to face his foster father. And though facing a Primarch, Luther at this time had been enhanced by the powers of chaos and could match the Lion's prowess. Now during the fight, the Lion hesitated to land a blow, and Luther struck back with a psychic attack. Then, his foster son near death, the planet cracking around him, Luther finally gets that slap in the face he needs to see sense. He sees through the veil of lies the Dark Gods have put into place for him, that they have fed him, and feeling the weight of his deeds, he lets out a psychic cry, perhaps some emanation of the powers the Dark Gods have put into him. And this cry is so anguished that a war storm erupted around the Dark Angels' already weakened home planet. Remember those bombardments? Yes, that's cut through this like a knife through cheese. And this hurls the fallen Dark Angels into the warp, scattering them across space and time. After, the Lion was placed in the rock, likely by the Watchers in the Dark, and Luther was placed in a cell. But none would learn what happened on shattered Caliban. The angels by their nature keep it a secret, but they do constantly hunt for their fallen brothers. The Unforgiven will break away from missions that they have been given, even when fighting alongside their brothers, to run off and search for the Fallen. Now the Fallen themselves share many different fates. The ruinous powers are always happy to accept new servants. The blood god Corm was quick to shackle the most ruthless and warlike of El Johnson's lost sons. The other powers made more subtle advances. Nurgle's flyborn emissaries sought out those driven to despair by the loss of Caliban, promising them a forested realm of a far more resilient kind, the Garden of Nurgle, in which to plot their revenge. Zeech spoke to the most scrupulous and brooding of the Fallen, weaving Luther's claim into a larger tapestry of betrayal and deceit, while promising them all the intellectual skills they would need to unravel it. And to those who had already opened their souls to depravity in the halls of Caliban's keeps, the Prince Slanesh whispered of indulgences beyond imagining. Some have even become demon princes. We'll cover a specific one towards the end of the video and what action he took. Others have found roles back within the Imperium itself, acting as saboteurs within the Empire they once fought for, using their knowledge as the First Legion to hurt it. Some can create more of their fallen brotherhood. Thus some fallen groups have been able to expand their fighting numbers and replace their losses, crafting new heretics in ultimate betrayal of the Emperor's vision. Some are less on the warpath and try to come to terms with and make peace with their grief and guilt. They are drifters. The purpose they were forged for denied them. You will find them working within imperial society, seeking some rare purpose now denied them, from shrewd diplomatic victories to successful resistance to planetary invasion, but always watching the skies for the Emperor's angels to find them. So how are the Unforgiven found? One of the Dark Angel's tools is a network of tens of thousands of human agents scattered throughout the galaxy. Almost all of these individuals are oblivious to the fact that they serve the Master of the Watchers, a powerful member of the Dark Angel's inner circle, having been psycho-indoctrinated to live inconspicuous lives. Only a tiny number will ever encounter information of value, at which point pre-programmed protocols will compel them to alert the Dark Angels using cryptic, seemingly banal signals. Occasionally, the new personas these reintegrated Fallen adopt are so convincing that they fool even themselves. Lulled into a sense of safety, they all but forget the name of Luther and the scent of Caliban's forests burning. Such individuals react with more horror than any if they are somehow found by the Unforgiven. The anguish of millennia floods back into their minds, mingling with disbelief that they are unmasking. Even as they hit the cold floor of their interrogation cell, they babble their innocence. Something to consider if we go back to when Luther's warpstone shattered Caliban is that his followers were spread over time and space. Some awoke during the time of the Scouring, others woke 10 millennia after the heresy and do not recognise what is around them. The world dead walked in moments before, now myth and legend, and some have fallen further even than Luther himself and become, I told you we'd get back to it, demon princes. One is the fallen demon Primarch. I definitely misspoke there, guys, sorry about that. One is the fallen demon prince Marbas, who boldly led his demonic legions in an invasion of the Rock, the vast space station of the Dark Angels, somehow defying its defences to inflict a terrible slaughter before disappearing. So who was this prisoner Marbas sought? A secret prisoner residing within a heavily shielded cell at the very heart of the Rock. His existence known only to the Supreme Grand Master of the Dark Angels and the enigmatic beings known as the Watchers in the Dark. This wretched creature was the man once known as Luther. Despite his deranged state, Luther's mental ties with the warp had endured, leading successive generations of Supreme Grand Masters to use him as an oracle, to varying results. And one consistent thing he is saying is that one day the Lion would return to absolve him in person. Now the Lion has returned. Personally, I don't think he'll hesitate to dispatch this person. Even with the Lion recruiting the Risen, Luther has gone over to Chaos. I don't think there's much denying that. Anyway, when the fallen demon prince Marbas led an invasion of the Rock and then suddenly withdrew, Azrael alone learned the truth of the attack. Luther had vanished from his cell. How the prisoner's warded chains had been broken and whether he had willingly escaped or been abducted, the Supreme Grand Master did not know, but the knowledge of a demon prince of Chaos is a likely explanation, I think, and Azrael has worked to keep this a secret. And now, friends, I turn things over to you. Do you enjoy the recent changes within the Fallen, with the introduction of the Lion and the Risen? Do you believe any of them have fallen to Chaos becoming princes, or is this old lore and out of date? I like the idea that they have. It makes the angels keeping that secret even more important. And what do you think Luther will do now the Lion is back? It'll be very interesting to see the Lion back with his foster father in some capacity. I think they'll have to give a reason for him not just to wipe out Luther straight away, but I think there could be a really cool dynamic for a short time there before Luther is dispatched. I think that'd be very cool. The problem is, Games Workshop, they tend to want to hold on to these things, like never revealing the identity of Cypher and always having Luther in that similar position. Well, I think it'd be cool if they moved it forward. They can always replace these things or muddle the information that we're given with the false narrators that they usually do. I definitely got back into Dark Angels lore. I think they're one of the earliest legions that I got into, them, the Dark Angels, so it's pretty cool to see them come back around and get some much needed love. So comment down below, guys, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.